The Galactic Council's annual Most Adorable Species competition was, without question, the stupidest thing Captain Luna Rodriguez had ever witnessed. And she'd once watched a cargo pilot try to dock with an asteroid because he thought it was a space station. Behold, announced Councillor Vexthara, her 6 arms dramatically gesturing at a holographic display. This cycle's contestants for galactic protection status. Luna stood barely 5 feet 2 inches in her worn engineering boots, arms crossed, watching aliens the size of buildings CO over videos of Earth's tourism board. Because apparently, whoever edited humanity's First Contact package thought it would be cute to lead with puppies, babies, and people hugging pandas. "Oh my stars," gasped Graxnor, a 12-foot-tall reptilian diplomat whose scales shimmered like oil slicks. "Look at the tiny bipeds. They're so small and soft and helpless." Luna bit her tongue. Hard. The taste of copper was preferable to explaining that the helpless species had invented nuclear weapons before they figured out interstellar travel. "The humans require immediate protection," declared the Council in unison. "They're clearly too adorable to survive on their own." "Right," Luna muttered under her breath. "Because nothing says survival skills like conquering every ecosystem on a death world and then looking for more challenges in space." Graxnor's massive head swiveled toward her, reptilian eyes widening with what Luna could only describe as heart-melting delight. "Did you hear that?" It made sounds, tiny, precious sounds. And that's how Captain Luna Tiny Rodriguez, veteran of 3 corporate wars and holder of 6 engineering patents, got adopted by an overgrown space gecko who thought she was the cutest thing since sliced bread. "Don't worry, little one," Graxnor cooed, his claws gently scooping her up like she was made of spun glass. "Graxnor will keep you safe from all the scary things in space." Luna dangled from his grasp, deadpan staring at the alien who could probably bench press a shuttle. "Yeah, thanks for that." The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she was, getting volunteered for galactic witness protection by beings who'd apparently never heard of the concept judge a book by its cover. These same aliens had probably written off Earth after seeing one tourism video of people feeding dolphins and concluded humans were basically cosmic houseplants. "We'll provide the finest habitat," Vexthara announced proudly, "with toys, treats, and constant supervision." "Supervision," Luna repeated flatly. "The best caretakers money can buy." Caretakers. And playmates. Other protected species for socialization. Luna's eye twitched. She was a starship captain. She'd rebuilt FTL drives with spare parts and duct tape. She'd talked down 3 separate mutinies and once convinced a black market dealer to pay her for the privilege of being arrested. But sure, playmates sounded great. "This is going to be fun," she said, and meant the exact opposite. Graxnor beamed at her, completely missing the sarcasm. "Oh, you're going to love it. Graxnor's ship has the most advanced life support systems in the fleet. And the dreadnought's weapons array is, well, it would be impressive if half of it wasn't broken." Luna perked up despite herself. "Broken how?" "Some silly malfunction with the power couplings. The engineers say it's unfixable without dry dock." Now that was interesting. Luna had built her reputation fixing the unfixable. And if she was going to be stuck playing pet for the foreseeable future, she might as well keep her hands busy. "Don't worry about boring adult things, tiny human," Graxnor said, apparently interpreting her thoughtful expression as confusion. "Graxnor will handle all the complicated stuff." "Right," Luna said, already mentally cataloging the ship's systems she'd glimpsed on the way in. "I'll just focus on being adorable." The scary part? She was actually looking forward to it. The protected species habitat was exactly what Luna expected and somehow worse. Imagine a luxury hotel designed by someone who'd only heard hotels described by a particularly enthusiastic child, then built by aliens who thought humans were roughly equivalent to hamsters. "Welcome to your new home," chirped Nurse Kala, a spindly creature who looked like a praying mantis had a baby with a rainbow. "Here are your new friends." Luna surveyed her fellow adorable species with the practiced eye of someone who'd commanded diverse crews across the galaxy. There was Pip, a translucent blob creature who seemed to be 90% anxiety and 10% nervous perspiration. Whiskers, a six-legged feline thing that would have been right at home in a crazy cat lady's fever dream. And Buttons, a crystalline being who literally chimed when they moved. "Hi," Luna said. Pip immediately began vibrating with stress. Oh no, a new friend. What if I say something wrong? What if she doesn't like me? What if I accidentally absorb her? Oh no. You can absorb people? Luna asked with interest. Only when I'm nervous. Right, I'm Luna. Try to stay calm. Whiskers padded over on all six legs, purring in a frequency that made Luna's teeth ache. Another predator. The creature purred. I can smell the hunt on you. Good nose, Luna admitted. Buttons chimed in with sounds like wind through crystal caves. The small one is different. Not prey-shaped like the soft ones usually are. Nurse Kala clapped her four hands together. Wonderful. You're all getting acquainted. Now, who wants to play with the interactive puzzle feeders? Luna stared at the contraption that looked like it was designed to challenge a particularly bright golden retriever. You've got to be kidding me. Now, Nurse Kala tutted. Species integration requires proper stimulation. These puzzles will keep your little minds busy. The patronizing tone made Luna's trigger finger itch. She'd solved engineering problems that had stumped entire teams of specialists. She'd jury-rigged life support for a crew of 40 using spare parts and pure spite. And now she was being offered what amounted to a cosmic chew toy. Actually, Luna said, putting on her best innocent expression, I'm more of a hands-on learner. Could I maybe look at some of the ship's systems? To understand how everything works. Nurse Kala's compound eyes practically sparkled with delight. Oh, how precious. The tiny human wants to learn about big people things. Of course, sweetheart, I'll show you the pretty lights on the monitors. 20 minutes later, Luna was staring at the ship's diagnostic systems while Nurse Kala pointed out various displays with the enthusiasm of someone showing finger paintings to their grandmother. And this red flashing light means the gravity generator is having hiccups. Nurse Kala explained. The smart engineering people say it's very complicated to fix. Luna examined the readout. Looks like a simple harmonic resonance issue. Probably just needs the field stabilizers recalibrated. Oh, listen to you using big words. So adorable. While Nurse Kala cooed, Luna was already tracing power flow diagrams in her head. The gravity generator wasn't broken. It was just poorly tuned. 15 minutes with a plasma welder, and she could have it running smoother than a cat's purr.
Could I maybe play with the maintenance panel? Luna asked innocently. It has such pretty buttons.
Well, I suppose it can't hurt. Just don't touch anything important, sweetie. An hour later, the gravity throughout the habitat had stopped fluctuating for the first time in months. Nurse Kala stared at the diagnostics in confusion while Luna whistled innocently. That's impossible, the nurse muttered. The system is running at 98% efficiency. But you were just playing.
Lucky buttons, Luna said with a shrug. Pip had stopped vibrating. Did she just fix the gravity? Impossible, buttons chimed. Small, soft things don't understand hard light patterns. Whiskers, however, was studying Luna with predatory interest. Not prey, the feline repeated thoughtfully. Definitely not prey. Luna grinned. Stick around, guys. This is just the warm-up act. The attack came at what Luna's internal chronometer registered as 0347 ship time during the protected species mandatory rest period, which was just typical. Pirates always had the worst timing. Red lights bathed the habitat as klaxons wailed, and Nurse Kala's voice crackled over the intercom in full panic mode. All caretakers to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Luna rolled out of her ridiculously oversized pet bed as the first explosions rocked the ship. Through the reinforced viewport, she could see 3 sleek raider vessels closing in like sharks scenting blood. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, Pip was vibrating so hard he was starting to glow. Pirates were all going to be space dust. Whiskers had all 6 legs splayed flat against the floor, ears pinned back. The hunt smell is wrong. Predators hunting us. Buttons was chiming in rapid, panicked harmonics. Bad, sharp things coming. Soft things running away. And they were. Through the habitat's transparent aluminum walls, Luna could see the caretakers abandoning their posts, scrambling for escape pods with the dedication of rats fleeing a sinking ship. So much for protection. Well, Luna said, cracking her knuckles. Guess it's time to remind everyone why humans conquered a death world. She stalked to the habitat's maintenance closet, yanking open panels that Nurse Culla probably assumed were child-locked. Inside was a treasure trove of tools, spare parts, and cleaning supplies. Luna's engineer brain immediately began calculating possibilities. What are you doing? Pip squeaked. Something stupid, Luna replied cheerfully, pulling out a plasma cutter, some power cells, and a bottle of industrial solvent. Anyone know where the nearest atmospheric processor intake is? Another explosion shook the ship, closer this time. Emergency lighting flickered as systems began failing. The processing unit is 2 decks down, buttons chimed reluctantly. But soft things cannot go there. Too dangerous. Honey, Luna said, jury-rigging a timer mechanism from her alarm clock and some spare circuitry. I'm not your average soft thing. She'd built her first explosive device at age 12 using firecrackers and model rocket engines. Granted, it had taken out her neighbor's shed instead of the intended target, but the principles were sound. Stay here, she ordered, grabbing her improvised weapon and heading for the door. If anyone comes through that doesn't look like me, hide. But you're tiny, Pip protested. Luna paused at the threshold, grinning over her shoulder. Size isn't everything, buddy. It's what you do with it that counts. The corridors were chaos. Emergency systems blared warnings in 17 different languages while crew members ran past in various states of panic. Luna moved against the flow like a salmon swimming upstream, her small size letting her slip through gaps that would stop larger beings. The pirates had breached the main hull 2 decks below her target. Perfect. Let them come to her. She reached the atmospheric processor just as the first boarding party rounded the corner. 6 heavily armed raiders in combat armor, weapons raised, scanning for threats. They looked right over her head. Seriously? Luna muttered. I'm right here. The lead pirate, a scarred creature that looked like a bear, had been crossed with a blender, barked orders in Galactic Standard. Secure the area, find anything valuable. Luna cleared her throat. Excuse me. The pirates spun, weapons trained on empty corridor. Their heads swiveled back and forth, searching. Down here. Genius. 6 sets of eyes looked down. 6 expressions of confusion stared at the tiny human standing in the middle of the hallway, holding what appeared to be a modified hairdryer. Audabio, one of the pirates cooed. Look at the little pet. Someone's lost. Super lost, Luna agreed. Could you give me a hand? I'm trying to blow up your ship. There was a moment of perfect silence. Then the timer on her improvised device hit 0, the industrial solvent ignited, and the atmospheric processor's intake became a very effective fragmentation grenade. When the smoke cleared, Luna was the only one still standing. And that, she said to the unconscious pirates, is why you always check for the small, quiet ones. Crawling through ventilation shafts was not Luna's favorite activity, but it beat the alternative of fighting through corridors full of heavily armed pirates. Plus, her compact size finally worked in her favor instead of making aliens want to pet her. The pirate's ship was a typical raider conversion, all weapons and no finesse. Luna could hear them stomping around below, probably wondering why their boarding party had stopped checking in. Report, Team Alpha crackled through their comm system. Luna grinned and activated the communicator she'd liberated from the unconscious squad leader. Team Alpha here, she said, pitching her voice lower and adding a raspy growl. All clear. Moving to secure the engine room? Copy that. Theta team, fall back to cover the docking tube. Perfect. Luna consulted the schematics she'd memorized during her crawl through the vents. With Theta team repositioning, the pirate ship's reactor room would be lightly guarded. Time to pay them a visit. She dropped through a maintenance hatch directly above the reactor console, landing in a crouch that would have made her old drill sergeant proud. The lone engineer on duty, a spindly insectoid, turned just in time to see Luna's jury-rigged stun device before involuntarily taking a nap. Thanks for keeping the lights on, Luna said, zip-tying his appendages with strips torn from her jumpsuit. Don't mind me. Just going to borrow your reactor for a minute. The pirate ship's power plant was military surplus, probably stolen from a scrap destroyer. Luna had worked on similar models during her service days. The trick wasn't shutting it down, any idiot could do that. The trick was shutting it down in a way that would strand the ship without killing everyone aboard. She began rerouting power conduits, her fingers flying over controls while her engineer brain calculated load distributions and thermal dynamics. A feedback loop here, an overload cascade there, and the ship's lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in a second later, but Luna had already moved on to phase 2 of her plan. Pirates, as a rule, weren't known for their maintenance standards. Their life support system was held together with spare parts and wishful thinking. Luna introduced a few creative malfunctions into the atmospheric recycling system, nothing fatal, just uncomfortable enough to make breathing a conscious effort. What's happening? Demanded a voice over the intercom. Engineering, report. Luna keyed the comm again, maintaining her fake raspy voice. Minor power fluctuation, Captain. Under control. Well, get it fixed. We're sitting ducks out here. If only he knew, Luna thought, moving on to the navigation systems. A few cross circuits, some creative rewiring, and their jump drive would be about as useful as a chocolate teapot. She was putting the finishing touches on her sabotage when heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors above. Time to go. Luna slipped back into the ventilation system just as a squad of pirates burst into the reactor room and found their unconscious engineer. The curses that followed would have made a cargo hauler blush. Find that saboteur, roared the captain. Tear this ship apart if you have to. Luna smiled in the darkness of the air ducts. Good luck with that, she whispered. What followed was the most entertaining game of hide and seek Luna had played since her academy days. Pirates thundered through corridors, weapons drawn, hunting for an intruder they couldn't find. Meanwhile, Luna moved through the ship's bones like a ghost, leaving small surprises wherever she went. A modified cleaning bot here, programmed to spray industrial lubricant on the deck plates. A gravity inverter there, jury-rigged to activate when someone stepped on the wrong floor panel. By the time she was done, the pirates were slipping, sliding, and occasionally finding themselves stuck to the ceiling. It's like the ship is haunted. One raider wailed. Ghosts don't rewire your weapon charging stations to play children's lullabies, his partner pointed out. Then what is it? Luna dropped from a ceiling panel behind them, landing silently. Boo, she said conversationally. They spun, weapons raised, but she was already gone, vanishing into the shadows like smoke. Did you see that? See what? There's nothing there. Something small and fast. How small? Really small. It's like a demon, whispered the first pirate. Luna grinned in the darkness. She'd been called worse things. Besides, if they wanted a demon in the walls, she was happy to oblige. The next hour was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Luna turned their own ship into a haunted house, complete with strange noises, mysterious malfunctions, and the occasional glimpse of something small and quick moving just at the edge of their vision. By the time she was ready for the final act, the pirates were jumping at shadows and arguing about whether their ship was cursed. Time to introduce herself properly. Luna dragged the pirate captain through the docking tube by his ankle, whistling a cheerful tune. Behind her, his crew was secured aboard their own ship with zip ties and wounded pride. She'd left them with just enough power to run life support and a working distress beacon. Someone would pick them up eventually. The sight that greeted her in the council ship's main corridor was almost worth the effort. Graxnor and half the diplomatic staff stood frozen in shock, staring at their tiny pet hauling a pirate twice her size behind her like a hunting trophy. Hey everyone, Luna said brightly. Miss me? Counselor Vexthera's 6 arms were trembling. How what? The combat reports said that I took out a raider crew single-handed. Luna dropped the captain's leg and wiped her hands on her jumpsuit. Yeah, that happened. Anyone got some decent restraints? Zip ties aren't really built for the long haul. Graxnor's massive head tilted, reptilian eyes wide with something that might have been dawning understanding. Tiny human, you defeated the pirates? Sure did. Though I have to say, your ship's security is terrible. I could have taken out your reactor core with a coffee maker and some dental floss. You sabotaged their vessel? Fixed their little aggression problem? Yeah. Luna stretched, working out the kinks from crawling through air ducts. Might want to send a salvage crew before they drift into that asteroid field, by the way. Perfectly good ship once you get past the minor electrical issues. Silence stretched through the corridor like taffy. The assembled aliens stared at Luna like she'd just announced she could juggle neutron stars. This is impossible, Counselor Vexthara finally whispered. Humans are a protected species. Adorable, helpless. They require constant supervision and you base that assessment on what exactly? Luna interrupted. Tourism videos. Let me guess, someone showed you footage of people cuddling pandas and concluded we were harmless. Well, yes. Right, let me fill in some gaps in your research. Luna began counting on her fingers. Humans are persistence predators from a death world where literally everything is trying to kill us. We invented weapons of mass destruction before we figured out space travel. We've never met a problem we couldn't solve with enough duct tape and creative profanity. And we pack bond with anything. That shows us basic respect. She gestured around the ship. Your gravity generator, I fixed that on day 2. Your navigation array, recalibrated while you thought I was napping. The structural microfractures in your port hull, sealed with improvised polymer patches during my playtime. Graxnor scales had gone pale. You've been repairing our ship? Someone had to. Your engineering crew couldn't fix a broken coffee maker, let alone a dreadnought class vessel. Half your systems are held together with hope and good intentions. But you're so small. Luna's grin turned predatory. Size isn't everything, big guy. It's about leverage, timing, and knowing where to apply pressure. A sufficiently motivated human can take apart anything given enough time and the right tools. She turned to address the crowd. You want to know what humans really are? We're the species that looked at the food chain and decided we belonged at the top. We're the ones who took a ball of rock and water and turned it into a garden. We're problem solvers, engineers, survivors. Her voice softened slightly, but we're also loyal to those who treat us as equals instead of pets. Pip had somehow made his way to the corridor, still vibrating but with excitement now instead of fear. She saved us. The tiny human saved all the soft things. It's not soft, Buttons chimed in correction. Hard like metal inside, predator friend. Whiskers padded up on all 6 legs, purring in approval. Pack leader, I knew from the smell. Graxnor knelt down, bringing his massive head level with Luna's. I apologize, Captain Rodriguez. I treated you as a pet when I should have recognized you as what you truly are. And what's that? A warrior. A protector. His reptilian features managed something like a smile. Family. Luna felt something warm unfurl in her chest. Family works. But next time, maybe ask before assuming someone needs protection. We humans have this weird hang-up about informed consent. Noted, Graxnor said solemnly, would you consider staying? Not as a protected species, but as our chief of security and engineering? Luna looked around at the assembled aliens, some terrified, some amazed, but all looking at her with something approaching respect instead of condescending affection. Sure, she said, but I'm keeping the nickname. Tiny has a nice ring to it. 3 months later, Luna stood on the bridge of the Galactic Council vessel Harmony's Dream, watching her crew work with the efficiency of a well-oiled machine. Pip managed communications with only minor anxiety attacks, Buttons handled navigation with crystalline precision, and Whiskers had turned out to be a natural at tactical analysis. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, Whiskers reported 6 legs spread for stability. Configuration matches known blood claw raider patterns. How many? Luna asked, settling into her captain's chair, a compromise between human ergonomics and the ship's original oversized furniture. 3 vessels. Cruiser class, moving to intercept. Graxnor's voice rumbled from the diplomatic section. Captain, they're hailing us. Standard pirate demands for surrender and tribute. Luna grinned. The Bloodclaw Syndicate had been raiding Council shipping for months. always hitting soft targets and disappearing before security could respond. Today, that was going to change. Put them through, she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a scarred alien that looked like a cross between a shark and a bad attitude. Council ship, prepared to be boarded. Surrender your cargo and nobody gets. The pirate captain stopped mid-sentence, staring at Luna in confusion. What is that tiny thing? That tiny thing, Luna said pleasantly, is your worst nightmare. Boys, girls, and non-binary pals, let's show these raiders what happens when they mess with our family. What followed was a masterclass in coordinated teamwork. Buttons calculated perfect firing solutions while Pip coordinated with engineering to maximize shield efficiency. Whiskers tracked enemy movement patterns, predicting their tactics with feline precision. And Luna tied it all together with the cold efficiency of someone who'd been fighting pirates since before most of her crew was born. Impossible. The Bloodclaw captain snarled as his formation began falling apart. You're just a council diplomatic vessel. Common mistake, Luna replied, watching his lead cruiser limp away trailing atmosphere. We prefer heavily armed diplomatic vessel with anger management issues. The battle was over in 10 minutes. 2 raiders surrendered, the third fled with engine damage and wounded pride. Luna's crew had worked together like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. Excellent work, everyone, she announced. Pip, coordinate with local security for prisoner transfer. Buttons, plot a course for the next patrol sector. Whiskers, tactical analysis of their formation. I want to know how to counter it if we see it again. Already begun, pack leader Whiskers purred. Their weakness is overconfidence in superior numbers. Good catch. We'll brief the other council ships on the pattern. As her crew dispersed to their tasks, Luna found herself alone with Graxnor. The massive reptilian had become something between a colleague and the father she'd never had, protective without being patronizing, supportive without being condescending. You've built something remarkable here, he said, gesturing at the bridge where former pets worked alongside council personnel as equals. We built it, Luna corrected. All of us. Turns out most species are pretty capable when you stop assuming they need protection and start asking what they can contribute. The other council members are taking notice. There's talk of expanding the program. Good. The galaxy's a big place, and there are a lot of so-called cute species that might surprise everyone with what they can do. Graxnor's scales shimmered with amusement. Speaking of surprises, the human ambassador to the core worlds has been asking about you. Something about humans being reclassified from protected species to strategic allies. Luna laughed. About time. Though I still think the whole situation is hilarious. Humans being the galaxy's favorite pets who just happen to be apex predators. The irony isn't lost on anyone, Graxnor agreed, though I suspect that was always the plan. Humans are remarkable at making friends with everyone while simultaneously being too dangerous to mess with. Pack bonding and persistent hunting instincts, Luna said with a shrug, works every time. An alert chimed from the communication station. Pip's voice crackled over the intercom, only slightly nervous. Captain, we're receiving a distress call from a research vessel. Engine failure in the Vortex Nebula. Luna stood, feeling the familiar thrill of another challenge. Set course, maximum burn. Looks like we've got another rescue to pull off. Another opportunity to demonstrate human ingenuity? Graxnor asked. Another chance to help family, Luna corrected, heading for the bridge. Human, alien, or otherwise, that's what we do. As the ship turned toward the nebula, Luna reflected on how much had changed since that first day when she'd been mistaken for a harmless pet. She'd found her place in the galaxy not as humanity's representative, but as herself. Captain Luna Tiny Rodriguez, engineer, warrior, and pack leader to the strangest family the stars had ever seen. Behind her, she could hear Pip coordinating rescue operations with barely a stutter, Buttons calculating jump coordinates with crystalline precision, and Whiskers already planning tactical approaches for potential threats. Her pack, her crew, her family, and if anyone tried to mess with them, they'd learn the same lesson those pirates had. Size doesn't matter when you're dealing with humans. It's what you do with it that counts. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying its unlikely crew toward another adventure. Another chance to prove that the galaxy's most adorable apex predators were exactly where they belonged, protecting those who couldn't protect themselves and showing everyone else that family comes in all shapes and sizes, even tiny ones.